What a beautiful Friday it is for those football lovers. The mighty crashing Brazil out of the World Cup. Indeed, we're not talking sports, we're talking politics. Welcome on board, everyone. My name is Shoa Kimbalea. Let's get down to the countdown. It's 79 days to the 2023 elections. 77 days, I'm being told. Well, Nigerians are anticipating the opportunity to elect their leaders in February next year. So go get your PVC and make your vote count. Count with me, Nigerians. Hashtag Nigeria decides. And one of the interesting parts of this election is the conversation about the agenda, and perhaps more than ever in our political history or electoral process, as we're seeing the kind of engagement on issues that we have seen in the past few weeks. So, Channel Television continue with a series of the presidential town hall, and the People's Town Hall resumes again with the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Atiku Abubakar, and his running mate, Senator Ifeanyi Okowa, both of them on the stage for 2 hours, engaging with Nigerians, speaking to the representatives of the people and the stakeholders in the economy, security, and across the sectors of education and health. And they will be telling Nigerians the capacity that they have to fix Nigeria ahead of the crucial election. The PDP flag bearers, Atiku Abubakar and Ifeanyi Okowa, on the 11th of December 2022, 7 p.m. live on Channels Television. Don't forget that you can also be part of that conversation. Send your questions in, and the flag bearers will be able to listen to them. Tonight, two major issues on the front burner as far as the conversation on the program is concerned. We'll go to Ogun State. The PDP governorship candidate, Ladi Adebutu, will be joining us live on the program. He's flagged up the governorship campaign. It's going to be a very, very interesting race in Ogun State, up against the incumbent, Dapo Abiodun of the APC. How is that going to pan out? He's going to be telling us about his plan. But we'll be speaking also with one of the chieftains of the APC. There's a lot that the APC needs to react to tonight about the presidential candidate and the state of the race. Stay with me, everyone. Promises to be another very engaging and a very interesting conversation on the program. So let's first and foremost check out some of your political roundup stories.
The National Working Committee of the Labour Party has suspended the acting National Publicity Secretary of the party, Mr. Abayomi Arabambi, for anti-party activities. The decision was taken today at an emergency NWC meeting in Abuja. The party's National Secretary, Mr. Umar Farouk, says various allegations by Arabambi against national officers of the party remain unsubstantiated and a figment of the imagination of perpetrators. The party also suspended the chairman of the party in Ogun State and dissolved the state executive for refusing to answer the summons by the NWC over the allegations against the Director General of his Presidential Campaign Council, Mr. Doyin Okupe. The presidential candidate of the New Nigeria People's Party, Mr. Rabiu Kwankwaso, has promised that his administration will give priority to education if elected in 2023, saying that no Nigerian would be deprived of education as a result of his or her socioeconomic status. He made the promise in Abeokuta, the Ogun State capital, while addressing party supporters during his visit to the state office.
Nobody will pay for JAM, nobody will pay for WAEC, nobody will pay for any form in this country.
The governorship candidate of the New Nigeria People's Party in Kano State, Mr. Abba Yusuf, has unveiled his manifesto promising to prioritize education at all levels and improve infrastructure across the state if voted as governor. Addressing supporters during the unveiling, which was followed by the inauguration of campaign officials for the 44 local government areas across the state, Mr. Yusuf promises to be committed to the development of Kano State.
The real free education that was enjoyed during the Kwankwaso's administration
will be reintroduced.
The International Republican Institute, IRI, and the National Democratic Institute, NDI, are urging political parties and their candidates to adhere to the principles of peaceful conduct of polls and peace accord, facilitated by the National Peace Committee, by desisting from violence and attacking the opponents. The pre-election assessment mission of the Institute told a news conference in Abuja that over 50 cases of attacks on campaign rallies have been recorded across 40 local government areas of the country, despite the signing of peace accord by political parties.
Attacks on INEC offices occurred in at least 4 states since the signing of the Peace Pledge, including an attack on an INEC office in Imo during the delegation's presence in the country.
The National Institute of Social and Economic Research says political manifestos must be serious enough to herald issue-based campaigns aimed at finding solutions to Nigeria's problems. The group says this must be the hallmark of the 2023 general elections if the country will be doing anything different for social change and equity. This was what most academic experts and some political parties seem to agree on at a forum organized by the Institute in Ibadan, the Oyo State capital, to present a platform for critical appraisal of party manifestos and to agenda issue-based campaigns.
Notions like true federalism complicate matters because there's no true federalism anywhere, and it is needless talking about true federalism.
Thank you indeed, everyone, for staying with us on the program this Friday. So let's get some spice to your Friday evening. This is no entertainment. This is real engagement because it has to do with the real issue that bothers on the life and the livelihoods of Nigerians. Tonight we'll be talking about a governorship engagement, and then we will also go into a presidential conversation. But first and foremost, let's touch base in Ogun State, where today the governorship candidate of the PDP, Mr. Ladi Adebutu, today flagged off the governorship campaign in Abeokuta, and also the presidential campaign council of the party was also officially flagged off at that event, which was aired live on Channels Television earlier today. One could see some of the party chieftains who gathered in solidarity and support for Mr. Ladipo Adebutu, Mr. Adebutu, and some other aspirants in the PDP in Ogun State have been enmeshed in a series of lawsuits leading to Mr. Adebutu emerging victorious in the last 2 of those lawsuits. Let me allow you to listen to part of the soundbite from that rally earlier today.
We seize this opportunity to acknowledge the role of the judiciary in upholding the law and ultimately standing by the Constitution and the electoral law by delivering judgments that will further entrench democracy in our nation. Today we are here to formally declare our readiness as a party to take over power on the way to good governance in May 2023.
That is the agenda of Mr. Ladi Adebutu. But the big question is, how does he hope to achieve that? There's a lot of hurdle internally in the PDP in Ogun State, and of course, going up against a major opponent who is an incumbent, Mr. Dapo Abiodun of the APC, and several other contestants that will be on the ballot. Let's go live to Abeokuta, where Mr. Ladi Adebutu joins us on the program. Thank you so much, Mr. Adebutu, for joining us. And I guess congratulations, perhaps, is in order. Congratulations on one end that you've emerged in the last 2 lawsuits now, victorious. And now today you are able to successfully put together a campaign council which you flagged off. But let's begin first and foremost. The hurdle for you is not only at the election next year, March, but now you need to also think about how you're going to hold firm to the ticket of your party. From what I understand, that the lawsuit of 2 days ago or thereabout is not the last one. There is still another lawsuit at the Supreme Court. What are your hopes of getting through these orders?
Well, first and foremost, I have to I appreciate you, Sheon. Thank you for having me tonight, and thank you for being part of our occasion today. Well, it's been a long journey. You've been here and there. Sometimes you've not been our friend. Sometimes you have not been too kind to us. I have to mention, you have not been too clear in your submissions, but I think we have opened a new leaf today. You have acknowledged that there is a candidate now. We thank you, and we hope that there will be more diligent. There will be more diligent journalism in future. Thank you very much. Well, today, so far so good. The main contending factions, as I would say, they are gone, because in PDP, Seriki and the Burundi faction, I would say, are the real contenders. And I think today that came to a head and came to an end. Today is the last day any further litigation could have been filed, and to the best of my knowledge, that hasn't been done. So that puts end to any further litigation. To God be the glory. PDP is one and the same. Any further litigation would be from people outside of the PDP. As the judge would put it, there will be spoilers. I think that was how the judge defined it, that there are people that would be classified as spoilers. So we go forward in one mind that we now have a united PDP outside of spoilers, and we have a united party. And to that effect, we have created a presidential campaign committee, and we're acting as one body to the view that we want to win elections. And we have done it before. We are capable of doing it again, and we are going to act as one united party. And I have no fear we will succeed. In Ogun State, essentially, our job is done for us. One, we have a very faulty brand to contest against, and we have a very incompetent government to contest against. So we have no fear at all that we will succeed and we shall win.
All right. Okay, great. Let's pick up the issues one after the other. Let's just clarify a few issues here. Nothing against you. We do a thorough journalism, and in fact, on the continent and in the nation, we're a frontline journalism organization here. And for my almost 2 decades of journalism, I've tried my best to be to do the right thing. And so when the court says something, we report it. When your party has crises, we report it. And we acknowledge that today you did what you did, and also that you were victorious in the last 2 cases. I think those are the facts before us. And let's move forward quickly to the issues now. I didn't see Mr. Jimmy Lawal, nor did I see Mr. Segun Showumi at that rally today. Maybe they were there, or was there any reason why they were not there? Are you planning to incorporate them or to draw them to yourself?
Well, the audio was not too clear there, but I can just piece together a bit of what you said. My contention when I faulted your journalism there was your continued reference to Segun Showunmi as a candidate of the party was very divisive to our party, because Segun Showunmi at no stage was a candidate of the party. The court did not pronounce him at any stage as a candidate of the party, neither did the party pronounce him as a candidate of the party. But we sincerely believe, because of the relationship he had with you, you deliberately misled the public and continued to promote him as the candidate of the party, which was not in the best interest of the public and the best interest of our party. It was not the best thing to do. But that is in the past. We have moved forward like mature people, and we are talking today. We are hoping to build a new relationship with you today. So let us move forward.
So I was making reference to Mr. Jimmy Lawal and Segun Showunmi. They were not at the rally today. Are you planning to draw them to yourself?
Well, like I said, in the last judgment, the judge said clearly that Jimmy Lawal, in his actions, has acted as a spoiler from his actions by the matters before the judge. He has asserted that Jimmy Lawal was essentially a spoiler. He came from the APC in March, and he attempted to scuttle the primaries to be held in May. And up till today, Jimmy Lawal clearly has a leg in APC. He continues to act as an aide of the governor of Kaduna State, Governor El-Rufai. Recently, he was on a trip to Congo with Governor El-Rufai. At the last court attendance, he came in his official vehicle belonging to Kaduna State government, and he still acts as an aide of the government of Kaduna State. You cannot serve two masters at the same time. You cannot be an aide of the government of Kaduna State, which is an APC government, and at the same time profess to love Ogun State to the extent you would like to be the governor of Ogun State, which is a PDP state. You cannot love two masters at the same time. You cannot serve two parties at the same time. The Constitution of Nigeria forbids this.
Now, so let's get into one of the issues. So tonight, you have an opportunity to also, apart from the fact that we're having a conversation about the event of today and what has been happening in your party, you have a very big opportunity to sell yourself to the people of Ogun State. I mean, if they hear Ladi Adebutu, there are a lot of things that come to mind. But Ladi Adebutu, a man that perhaps will be on the ballot, what would you say you have as the capacity to be their governor?
Mr. Ashim, I do not appear to be on the ballot. I am on the ballot. That is a point of correction. I am on the ballot. I am the candidate of the People's Democratic Party. I am on the ballot. So I sell myself to the people of Ogun State because I sell some fundamental points. I tell the people of Ogun State that the failure of the system in Ogun State is because we have failed with the local government system. The moment we lost the third tier of government in Ogun State, governors failed in Ogun State. The PDP succeeded in Ogun State when we had a third tier of government. That was when democracy failed. When I tell you for a fact that will be the first thing we will do as a government, the essence of good governance is the grassroots. We should endeavor to make sure we entrench and involve our natural rulers. We will involve our neighborhood, the security arrangements in all the local government establishments. These are the things that make the local governments very, very germane to our existence. Everybody that is a security threat lives somewhere in the neighborhood. That is why the local government is very, very important. When
let me ask you, okay.
When we have done this, you will find that insecurity wrapped into one is solved. When we do this and we're able to solve the problem of electricity, you will find that we would have moved forward. Electricity solves a lot of issues. You will find that with electricity, darkness taken away takes away a lot of nefarious activities. That is why.
So
if you
it's good that
if you allow me to talk, it would be nice.
Okay, please land. I wanted to follow up on what you were saying on the issue of electricity, but land on the thought.
If you allow me to talk, it will be nice. You will find that what I've done in most communities in the state today, I have provided more generators. I've provided more transformers than the government has done, because I believe wherever you provide transformers and provide a possibility of distribution of electricity, you will help with security. You will help with an opportunity for the communities to have opportunities to create jobs. When you have electricity in these communities, you create jobs and opportunity for our young people to be properly employed. We have communities that the transformers have gone out of commission for years. And in those communities, obviously, what happens? You get migration away. We want to do participation, public sector, private sector participation, to create small estates, industrial estates, whereby you will get an opportunity for industrial estates to be created such that you have an opportunity to create niches and industrial estates all over the place. The Constitution permits this such that our jobs will be retained. 7 nodes in Ogun State, that's what we have, where the electricity is consumed. If we can create interface with business organizations, investors, to generate this electricity within the state, in these 7 nodes, create jobs in these 7 nodes, and make sure our young people have viable jobs. Make sure, for that matter, we have areas where we can even get taxes to fund our hospitals, our social services. Then there will be good governance.
All right.
That's what we're talking about.
Great. If you allow me to hop in quickly and throw in this question. Ogun State is a state that is generating, hovering between 80 to 100 billion as internally generated revenue. Perhaps the second largest state with industrial institutions or organizations. You would perhaps call Ogun State the industrial hub of the southern Nigeria. I know that a government will like to do so many things, but look, for Mr. Ladi Adebutu, if you become governor, or should you become governor of Ogun State, what is that one thing that you hope to do? Because I know in the past days that you have accused the government of the day of plunging the state into debt. What will be your major focus should you win this election?
My major focus will be first and foremost to do partnerships. Partnerships and move away from debt accusation. This government pro rata has borrowed the most in very, very shady situations. We must move away from situation that we just borrow money for the sake of borrowing money, and then we cannot actually say where the money goes. It is a cake to borrow money for white elephants projects. Nobody borrows money to build ports anymore. Nobody borrows money to build roads anymore. You build roads because people fund the roads, toll the roads, and after 30 years or thereabouts, when they've tolled the roads, they return it to government. That is the way to build a road.
So you're saying that you will not borrow, or how would you get the money to fund government?
What I am saying is that you do minimal borrowing. You do infrastructure by doing private partnership, collaboration, and you do these collaborations, you do these interfaces, you do these partnerships. That is what you do. You don't borrow to build roads. You don't borrow to build ports. That's the way to do it.
All right.
What we have seen is that relatively, comparatively, in the last 3 different administrations, this particular government has borrowed the most, comparatively. And I'm telling you, in time when this is looked at critically, you will find that there will be need to call in the ICPC and the EFCC for very, very close scrutiny.
All right, let's close the conversation quickly and wrap up. Just in 30 seconds, I'd like to ask you as your final thought on the program tonight. And that will be, you are up against an incumbent that has structure of politically elected personnel on the ground. Now, how do you hope to win that election, considering the kind of run that APC has had in the last 3 election cycles in Ogun State? Just in 30 seconds.
APC is a damaged, very, very damaged, terribly damaged brand. The chief executive is terribly stained. His team, how many do we have to count? Those that are already in jail, or those that are indicted or in the process of being indicted? The state has lost confidence in them. They have already campaigned for us. The moment we got back on the ballot and we won those cases, organically, the people of the state started jubilating.
All right.
That is why deliberately they tried to keep everybody off the ballot. The battle is won already.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Oladipo Adebutu, the PDP governorship candidate in Ogun State. Thank you so much indeed for your time tonight. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
We'll take a break, everyone, and when we return, we're going to focus our attention on the APC, Bola Tinubu, and the race to the villa. Who will become next president of Nigeria? The conversation is around the agenda of the ruling party and his candidate who is on the ballot, the former governor of Lagos State. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us. Let's get to it. There's been a lot of controversies. In fact, early in the week when Bola Tinubu appeared in the Chatham House, there was a lot of conversation around his appearance, what he said, his agenda for Nigeria, his style at his presentation, which has called for several reactions. And in the past few days is also how the person who becomes the next president will run this country. It's been the conversation on the lips of many Nigerians. Let's get talking about some of these issues. I'm being joined by the Director of Special Media Operations and New Media, a former Minister of Aviation, Chief Femi Fanika. He joins us live here in our studio. Thank you so much.
Very much. Thank you, Bill. Thank you.
See that you're wearing your sunglasses. I was just almost saying that.
I was sad about the football, you know.
Also, you're a football fan too.
Well, so, from time to time.
Oh, okay. I mean, I can't just remove myself from sport because I cover sports for some years. So, so let's get to it. Yep. A lot have been said about your candidate, and that is perhaps not anything strange because a lot of people are saying your people are talking about other candidates, same been saying about your candidate. So, but first and foremost, maybe I should play this soundbite to you. This is by Shegun Showwoman, who thought that your candidate did not do well at the Chatham House presentation. Take a listen to Shegun Showwoman, who is a member of the PDP, a spokesperson of the Atiku campaign.
Mistakes that Bola Tinubu will never make. He wants to talk about perambulation. He go blah, blue, blah. What's all that? And it wasn't once. It wasn't. So if it's like that, they have to look themselves in the mirror and know they cost it for themselves and not begin to stay in a foreign land on an organization that is not even up to the status of the Nigerian Institute of Policy and Strategic Studies and begin to pretend as though all of the other organizations within the country, Nigeria, is not up to standard or cannot question them. And I think the media must be very firm on that. We will not have anybody who wants to serve us begin to give us the impression that it's bigger than the collective. So whatever it is that Delelake is talking about is hogwash. They need to come back home and start attending events. Atiku attends events in spite of the fact that he has been contesting for a while. So typically, Atiku will say, oh, my views are known, therefore if you call me, I won't answer. But he painstakingly attends it. And when you ask him questions, he answers. When you ask him questions that ordinarily some other person will say, oh, this is below the belt, he gives as honest an answer as possible. That's
right. It was very critical about your candidate's appearance at the Chatham House and his, perhaps his performance.
Well, first of all...
and I'm giving you a right of reply, actually.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. That's in the standard tradition of channels television. First of all, let me just say that I have immense respect for Shegun Showwoman. I think he's probably the most effective speaker or debater that the PDP has, and I've always said that. But I disagree with him on this point. First and foremost, you have to understand that going to Chatham House is not an obligation. This is a foreign country. We're not obliged to go there. Nobody is. But the tradition is for our candidates to go there. Now, how you answer questions there is entirely up to you. There is no fixed format. It's not a school. It's not a university exam. It is simply a place where you express what your policies are for members of the international community, and they disseminate it to the rest of the world. We are not subjects of the British anymore. We are an independent country, and all our candidates, including his candidate Atiku, can choose to answer the way he likes wherever he goes in the world. That is the right of every Nigerian. That is the right of every presidential candidate. So that's number one. Number two, he spoke about what he described as gaffes during the course of that discussion. Well, it is true. Gaffes are made from time to time by every presidential candidate. Well, our candidate didn't go to Chatham House and make the sort of gaffe that Atiku made. And what was that? He went there and they asked him questions. He was speaking. And for a full 1 second, he was actually reading from a script. I'm not sure if it was Chatham House or elsewhere, but it was an international organization. He was reading from a script, and for 1 full minute, he went into silence. Now, what does that mean? Is it that he couldn't read anymore? Is it that there was his mind went blank? Is it that he suffers from dementia? Is it that there's something wrong with him? Or did he have strange bowel movements? I don't know, and I don't care. I give him the benefit of the doubt that something went wrong, and I will not make a political issue out of it or attack him because of that. It was an error that he made. So I think that we need to be very, very careful about trying to tell other presidential candidates from other parties how to answer questions. He went to a foreign land. He chose to answer some questions. He chose to delegate other questions to be answered by some of his associates, and he has many brilliant ones. Some were with him, some were not with him. But I'm happy that we have a CNC that's coming in, that's ready to delegate. Quite apart from all that, I think, you know, we probably need to concentrate more on the substantive issues rather than start. And of course, you know what killed it completely? After Chatham House, this man had an interview with the BBC, one of the top media organizations in the world. And he acquitted himself very well. He answered every question. He spoke excellently to the extent that people were saying afterwards, oh, we didn't know that he could do this. And I'm saying, well, you just don't know this man. And you've decided to believe the disinformation and the lies of people that see nothing but negative things about him.
Perhaps the meat of the conversation, maybe it was lost in all of those debates, is whether or not the style employed by your representation at the Chatham House was the norm at the Chatham House rules and perhaps the way and manner Chatham House operates its question and answer session. And the question that a lot of people have also been asking is, if we're going to have a president,
yes,
we will have a president that will directly address the nation, not one that will delegate. These are some of the questions that have been asked.
Let me start with the second question. He wasn't addressing our nation. He was addressing Chatham House. He was addressing an organization, which is essentially British, an advisory group that assesses our people. So it's not our nation that he was addressing a foreign organization in a foreign country. In terms of the norm, who sets the norm? Norms change all the time. If he chooses to go there and change the norm, that means he's innovative, clear thinking, focused, and courageous enough to not just change that norm, because it's not a law, it's not a school, it's not a university exam, it is simply a norm.
And are you guys bothered, just a moment, are you guys bothered by the perception? Because perception matters a lot. And the optics is the fact that for those who have criticized that style, is perhaps your candidate is incapable of answering to
That's why I'd like you to let me
issues.
finish that. I'm telling you, he can change that norm and showcase the fact that, listen, not only will I answer some of the questions, perhaps the more difficult ones, but I also have people that I am confident enough on the spur of the moment. I know all those that spoke. Not one of them knew they were going to speak on that day. And he was proving to the world that, listen, Nigerians have not only capable leaders like himself, but also capable disciples, both with him at Chatham House and back in Nigeria, that will form part of his inner circle and his team when he forms government. And I'm very proud of that fact. For people to assume that he cannot answer simply because he delegated, again, that is put to the lie by what? He had an interview with the BBC, probably the top media organization in the whole of the world, at least one of them, okay? And he acquitted himself exceptionally well, answered the fundamental questions. No, he didn't delegate anybody to answer for him. He spoke well, he spoke clearly. And my own view, and let me tell you what the mistake I think we are making a little bit in our own style of doing things, and not often do people say this. I think that we need to show Bola Tinubu to the world a lot more, because I've sat with him, I've spoken with him. It's not easy to impress somebody like me in terms of intellect, in terms of knowledge, in terms of understanding. This man is profound, he's wise, he's focused, he's strong, and that was proved by the BBC interview. So all those that say, oh, he couldn't speak, he can't speak well, he doesn't know what he's saying, he's too old, he's ill, he has mental challenges, that's why he delegated questions to be answered at Chatham House, speaking nothing but a bunkum with a capital B, as far as I'm concerned.
All right, so let's go into the other matters that have come as criticism, which of course I've heard some members of your party said is perhaps the position of your party in the north, and also the optics. There was another guest on the program here, which I'd like you also to react to, just since there's a platform for you as a right of reply. As a former deputy governor of Sokoto State, Mr. Mukhtar Shagari. I'd like our viewers to be reminded of what he said on the program. Then let's get reaction from Mr. Fanikadi.
We trust our Muslim brothers and they trust us, so we have to work together. In fact, his party was soundly defeated. That is what is going to happen in Nigeria. Nigerians are not stupid. You cannot use religion to divide us. Christians and Muslims, we meet, we talk together, we are always together. I'll give an example of some of the people that I was in school with in Office College of Arts and Science. They are Christians. We shared our happiness together, we shared our sadness together, we ate together, we played football together, we did everything, and till this moment we are still friends.
Right. I think he was referring to the same faith ticket.
Yes.
And how that will impact on your party's chances in the north.
First of all, I think, well, let me start by saying I have nothing but immense respect for Mukhtar Shagari. We served in the same cabinet under President Obasanjo, and I think he's one of the brightest people in this country, and he spoke very well there. Needless to say, I completely disagree with him. First of all, you can't cry more than the bereaved. I'm sorry to say this, but he's not a Christian, he's a Muslim. He says he's speaking up for Christians or violation of Christian rights. I'm a Christian, and I'm telling you that I don't see that the rights of Christians have been violated at all, simply because we have a Muslim ticket. The buck stops with the president, not with the vice president. The fact that our vice president will be a Muslim does not mean that Christian rights are being violated, does not mean that Christians are being marginalized, insulted, denigrated, or anything at all. There are ways of handling this matter. And what are those ways? There are positions like SGF, there are positions like Chief of Staff, there are positions of power, key power positions in government that Christians can fill and will fill under a Tinubu administration. That's the understanding and that's the deal that we have. So the idea that he will get on television and make it look as if we have committed a grievous sin simply by having a Muslim ticket, I think it's wrong, it's disingenuous, and as far as I'm concerned, the suggestion that it is being unfair to we're being unfair to Christians is a specious lie. I've said it over and over again. If I felt that Christian rights were being violated in any way whatsoever, I would be on the front line of the crusade against such a thing, because I take my faith exceptionally seriously. And there are millions of Christians that are supporting this ticket regardless of that kind of disinformation. Let me end by saying this in terms of what Mukhtar said. He is supporting a candidate that happens to be a Fulani like he himself is. Now, he talks about fairness. He talks about being reasonable. He talks about doing the right thing and being fair to everybody. In a country where you have over 300 separate tribes, for example, key major tribes, over 300 of them, is he suggesting that it's fair and reasonable to have a Fulani man in power for 8 years in the north, and then you don't have another Fulani man in power for another 8 years? 16 years of Fulani rule. That is what people like Shagari are advocating and suggesting. And what we are saying is that no, this cannot be right. The Fulanis themselves, not the minority like Mukhtar Shagari, but the majority of Fulani themselves in the north are saying enough is enough. We've had enough of this. Let power go down to the south in the name of equity, fairness, unity and peace, and let us have a president that will serve the interests of Nigeria and not a question of Fulani and Fulani succession. This country is not owned by anybody, and people like Shagari and others that toy with this idea of continuous Fulani rule. I happen to have Fulani blood in me. I'm a Fulani traditional title holder. I'm somebody that has most of my friends are Fulani, so I have nothing against them. But that suggestion that we should continue in that way, you know, it feeds into the whole narrative that we should separate as a country, which nobody wants.
So, I mean, you are campaigning and you're preaching that there needs to be a balance, and that, I mean, after an 8 years of a Fulani rule, I mean, so that same argument, if it's flipped,
yes,
in terms of, because there are two major issues here,
right,
the issue of ethnicity and the issue of religion.
Sure.
So those who are watching you right now will wonder whether you're speaking entirely the big, I mean, the whole picture in terms of how things should be balanced out. If you're criticizing the other end, that they're not balancing things out, I mean, the question will be posed to you, that is your party balancing things out? You have a President Muhammadu Buhari who is a Muslim, and you're saying that in your own party you should have a Muslim, not only as a presidential candidate, but also as a vice presidential candidate. What do you tell your critics tonight?
First of all, we don't balance things out. We're moving away from the idea of balancing things out in the name of religion.
So it doesn't matter in area of religion.
Let me make this very, very clear. Buhari has a vice president that is a Christian. As far as I'm concerned, I've said it over and over again, I'll say it here. He did absolutely nothing to protect Christian rights in this country over the last 8 years. And I criticized him for that. And I'm saying to you that the fact that Buhari had a Christian vice presidential candidate is one thing. Tinubu's is a new dispensation, a new beginning. And what we are saying is this: what matters is not to have a Christian vice presidential running mate who may not even be able to protect the interests of it, but to have a man with character, strength, righteousness that can defend the interests of Christians and Muslims.
Ethnic balancing will achieve that. That's your argument.
No, it's not
that we should balance things in terms of the tribal and ethnic.
Let me state the argument.
Ethnic complexity that we have.
Let me state the argument.
But I'm saying, and I'm asking you tonight that a lot of your critics have asked you, your party, that if you are criticizing the other side about ethnicity, the same argument goes if you flip the page on the issue of religion.
Can I answer that? Because you've asked me. Okay,
it's the third time I'm asking you.
But each time you haven't let me answer. Let me answer it clearly now to you. I say it again. The issue of having a Muslim president and a Christian president, that is Buhari, vice president, that is Buhari and his running mate, for the last 8 years is one thing. Fair enough, okay? Now, the issue of having another Fulani president this time around for another 8 years, okay, is something that is dangerous for this country. Now, that's totally different to saying that you're having a Tinubu candidacy, that is a Muslim presidential candidate from the south, and a Muslim running mate. Why? Because the Muslim running mate has absolutely no executive power or role unless it's delegated. The cry for justice, the cry for equity is the cry for power shift. It's not a cry for religious shift. It's a cry for power shift.
You don't think
it does not matter? Listen, in our part of the country, the southwest, Christians and Muslims are one. We don't play that game. Okay? In Osun State recently, no Muslim complained. Where you have a state of 50-50% or 60 to 40% Christian to Muslim, or 50-50%, where a Christian won the election with a Christian running mate. No Muslim complained, no Christian complained. The issue is who is at the helm of affairs. Who is the president? Who has executive power? And what we are saying is far more dangerous to have a Fulani for 8 years, another Fulani for another 8 years, and then secondly, it is far less dangerous to have a Muslim, Southern Muslim, as our president, and to have a running mate, that is a Northern Muslim, as his running mate, which has no significance whatsoever in terms of executive power.
Let me ask you yet another question, perhaps one of those that emerged from Mr. Bola Tinubu's appearance at the Chatham House and his response to whether or not his engagement locally in Nigeria, because I think that's what matters the most. The people who are voting should be able to hear directly from the man who is seeking their vote.
Right.
And I'd like to ask tonight, will Bola Tinubu grant a Nigerian media a one-on-one interview, just like the way you said that he did well with the BBC?
Well, as far as I'm concerned, that's a decision for him to make when he gets back, and he will make that choice. I suppose I can comfortably say that it would depend on which media house. If he's certain that it will be fair, equitable, and just, it's not a setup, I don't see why he should. He has not shied away from doing that. What he has shied away from involving himself in are town hall meetings, which are clearly pitted against him to humiliate him, and the fact that there are no debates, nobody has asked him to come to any debate, you just have town hall meetings with various presidential candidates. But as far as a one-on-one interview is concerned, I don't see why he shouldn't, but it's entirely up to him. I put it to you that when he does that, if he can do it with the BBC, surely he will do it with some local station at some point in time. And when he does that, the Nigerian people will come to the conclusion that contrary to the disinformation and the lies and the deceit and the falsehood that's being peddled about this great man's mental capacity and his health and all the rest of it, and his age and all that, the rest of that rubbish will go out of the window. He has proved it to the Brits, he's proved it to the world with his BBC interview, and he'll prove it here locally as well when the time comes.
Let's close this interview in 30 seconds. And I like to draw inference from the answer that he gave in that interview when they asked why is it better if he's going to vote for any of the other candidates. And he said no, that he will vote for him. I mean, he's better of the lot. Those who have, criticism have come on that response also. Why Nigerians should consider Bola Tinubu as their choice.
You want me to answer that? I'll answer that. First of all, Bola Tinubu does not betray his own. Bola Tinubu supports his own. Atiku, on the other hand, always talking about how wonderful the Obasanjo administration was. And he's right, absolutely wonderful. I was in that government. greatest government as far as I'm concerned in this democratic dispensation. Yet Atiku sought to betray that government, destroy that government to the extent he undermined us, to the extent that I personally had to ask him to leave cabinet on 2 separate occasions because he was working against us. So he cannot be relied on. We couldn't rely on him during Obasanjo's time. Obasanjo said it. How can he be relied on now by the Nigerian people? He marginalized his own party, destroyed it by basically kicking out 5 governors, denying them the presidential ticket, denying the South, denying them of the chairmanship of the party, denying them of so many other things, and insisting on the Fulani to Fulani succession. As far as we are concerned, that's one of the reasons why Tinubu would say he's better. As for the other one, a man that, as far as I'm concerned, sits there. When he was governor of Anambra State, he was issuing ID cards, insisting Northerners should have ID cards and nobody else, shipping them out of the state in droves, in cattle vans, and sending them back to the north. This was a man that has a beer symbol of Biafra on his beer cans. This is a man that went to Nasarawa and called Nasarawa State a country. This is a man that did not allow non-Igbos to have stalls and markets in Igbo markets all over the country. This is a man whose vice, Dati Ahmed, called that all homosexuals and people that did not believe in non-heterosexuals, that is, members of the gay community, should be killed publicly. This running mate like that, so on and so forth. So when you have people,
I've asked you about your candidate, but you're spoken about the other candidate.
You asked me why my candidate felt he was better than all those, and I'm telling you that he's better than all of them because of all those reasons. These people are not straight, and of course, the ignorance of Dati Ahmed is monumental. I won't talk about that tonight.
Chief Fanika Aude is the Director of Special Media Operations at the APC Presidential Campaign Organization and a former aviation minister. Thank you so much indeed for coming.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Well, that's our show for tonight. Let me remind you, on Sunday, 7 p.m., the 11th December 2022, it's the People's Town Hall for 2 hours. There will be an engagement like no other with the presidential candidate of the PDP, Atiku Abubakar, and Senator Ifeanyi Okowa is running mate. Right here on Channels Television. Keep it with us, everyone. That's our show for today, everyone. Many thanks for watching. I'm sure Kimale. God bless Nigeria.